What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the post-game show. Miami redeemed themselves tonight with the 119-108 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, Brady Hawk already has a piece posted on the website about his 5 takeaways from it. Oh, man, and we're joined by Alex Toledo from the arena. Hey, Alex, man, since you're in the arena, you watched it up close. Give us your thoughts on the game.
Oh, my thoughts on the game? Yeah, they didn't completely take a shit all over themselves this time. I think really nice development this time around. They didn't just completely give up the game from the start, that was the one adjustment when Leif asked me last night on the pod, how could they adjust coming into this game? Yeah, just don't start that game off terribly, and I bet you it wouldn't be such a bad game. And look, what a surprise. They didn't hit 29 threes again. Who could have called that?
I can appreciate that, man. Hey, let's get
Alex out of the rotation.
Yeah, so we did get a turnaround game from a lot of guys tonight. Mike, who impressed you the most tonight?
Oh man, I mean, we always expected him to play great, but Bam really stepped up big time tonight. Like we can't overlook it. Like we went from last game, people started calling him, oh, we shouldn't have given him the max. Oh, we shouldn't have done this. Granted, none of us were saying it because we're all fairly educated and know what we're talking about with basketball. But I mean, the fact that it was coming out means that he had a pretty rough time and it wasn't happening for him. He had a really big game tonight for the Heat. I mean, it was nice to see him bounce back. None of us are surprised because we know he has it in him. It'll just be nice to see him play like this and play this aggressively moving forward, especially with those jumpers. Man, those jumpers are nice when he decides to take them. So, I'm going to go with Bam. I'm going to go with the easy answer.
Bam was nice. I also enjoyed Avery Bradley's game tonight. Mm-hmm. I think, Alex, you're another person who was beating the table for Avery Bradley to get one of those starting slots. He started tonight. What did you see from him?
And you should have seen him. I'm here, by the way, next to Ethan. And me and him, I was just standing out over Avery Bradley the whole time. Like every time he did something, I was like, oh my God, look at him play positive defense above the 3-point line. Like, wow, they haven't had somebody who could do that since they traded Justice Winslow. But no, I was really impressed with Avery Bradley's defense. Like I thought he was amazing. He was really all over the place for them, man. I'm glad they turned off the music, by the way.
Who are they playing it for?
But,
was it just?
Oh, no, you should have seen it. The tonight, I mean, look, they've got friends and family in the stands. It's 40, 50 people.
Oh, okay.
And look, they even had the sound meter on at one point during the timeouts. Like how they have that little thing checking out how loud the crowd is going. Like the Heat are really playing into this whole make it feel like a real Heat game thing.
So we also got a pretty good game from Tyler tonight. He had a big game on the boards, especially had 15 boards.
Bye, Ethan.
Bye, Ethan. We finally won the game with Ethan being there.
You said I'm too loud.
but yeah, we got a good game from Tyler tonight. Talk to him about Tyler's game and what you guys saw from it. Either one of you guys can jump in.
Yeah, I'll let Alex go. Alex was there.
Look, man, I thought Tyler, people were getting kind of hard on him last night. I thought he started kind of rough, but he was hitting all those pull-ups last night, and then I thought tonight he played a completely different game and stood out. Like he wasn't really going for all the pull-up jumpers that he was hitting last night, even knowing they were going to be there. And he did a really good job attacking the rim and just keeping the ball moving. I thought Tyler looked great. He finished with a near triple-double?
I mean, those assists weren't really that close, but
maybe not. Maybe not, but it felt good watching him out there. He was playing a nice rounded game. And, to me, the whole thing with him not being starting point guard is fair, but I don't think that's a problem when the team is healthy, because I think to me, Jimmy, Bam are kind of the point guards when they're healthy, like Spo has said, and Goran is the guy off the bench who we all know is probably just going to end up getting empowered in the playoffs, and who knows, might just end up starting again when that time comes. They don't feel Tyler could do the job. So to me, that's why I'm not really worried about it. I still love what Tyler's showing. He keeps making more and more steps with his ball handling and passing. He's not a point guard. He plays better when he's next to Goran or next to Jimmy, making it easier for them. But he's taking strides. And look, when we drafted Tyler Herro, everybody kind of expected him to be this off-ball shooter, man. Like nobody expected him to have ball handling or passing to his game. And he's already developed that so much over the past year. And so I think we got to take it slow with him. I'm really impressed with what I saw from Tyler. And by the way, thank God Bam played well, because I really could not have taken another night of Heat Twitter doing what they did last night, man, abusing me and poor Brady Hawk's mentions.
Yeah, so, I will say too, it's the weirdest thing looking at this box score. Look at the assist numbers for Bam and then the rebounds for Tyler, right? Like if that isn't the most backwards like set of numbers that you think you've ever seen on a guard and somebody playing center. That is nuts.
Tyler be grabbing rebounds, man.
Hey,
So-
he was running hard on the defensive end of the floor tonight.
I have no idea why Clutch wants to bother me in the middle of the thing, but Clutch just texted me and said he's still trading the whole team for the bearded one. So I'm with that too. But you mentioned Goran, and he ended up with 26 points tonight, kind of like cementing himself as probably the most invaluable bench member in the entire league. Talk something about what you saw from Goran, Mike.
I mean, that's what you expected from Goran. That's what we saw from Goran, right? That was close to bubble Goran, right? Like he played great during his stretches as a sixth man in the regular season for sure. But during the bubble, he was the guy that scored points for us. He was the guy that ran the offense. Excuse me. And it was great to see him look comfortable. I mean, that's the highest scoring game he's had so far this year, right? And as much as people may not want to admit it, I'm sure the foot still kind of bothers him. I'm sure the foot, like it doesn't make, I'm sure the foot's not 100%. It can't be, right? It just can't be. And the fact that he's still coming out here, he's still playing hard. He's giving you 26 points. He runs the offense more efficiently. He does better with the ball. It's good to see him back out there. He puts this team on another level. And I still think this team could use another point guard, somebody else to kind of run the offense like that. You can't just rely on Goran and Jimmy, especially with their ages, some of their injury history, and just how run down Jimmy can get. But when you have Goran healthy and playing like this, I put this team up against just about everybody else.
Oh, he was emulating.
So we also got to see none tonight. We got no Myers, I think.
Nope.
A whole lot less Mo.
No
And-
KZ.
No KZ, but we saw Gabe Vincent too. So, and he actually came in there.
Controlling the fan base playing Gabe Vincent and not KZ.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like Spo's been doing that with lineups all year long, just like trolling the fan base. But yeah, we got a lot of different guys that played. The rotation was a little wonky, but I kind of liked it. Alex, what were your thoughts on the rotation tonight?
I mean, look, it's clearly still all over the place. Like, I don't think there is a set rotation yet. And look, I've been saying this whole time, Spo has 12 players that he wants to play in the rotation. And so it may be fluctuating. And that's what I said last night. But look, that wasn't even including Gabe Vincent or Max Strus, right? And I don't think either of them are going to end up staying in the rotation, at least not with the roster the way it is right now. Just because I think they have a glut at guards already. Like, Kendrick Nunn is clearly going to be ahead of them in line, even though, maybe he shouldn't be. Because outside of that dunk, he didn't do much tonight. But to me, like, I really like what Gabe Vincent did, man. I think he can really shoot the hell out of that ball. That's kind of why I feel good about him and Strus in general. Just whenever they end up needing to get called on to step up, they can come in and shoot the hell out of the ball, and that's still pretty valuable. I don't think they'll be, part of the rotation going forward, but I was glad to see Mo out of there. I was glad to see Myers out of there. To me, the next domino is getting Nunn out of there, and I'm not really trying to sound like, trying to trash these guys. To me, just from what I've seen over these few games, those three are kind of the weak links as far as their deep rotation. And I think everybody's trying to crown KZ, including me. We're all trying to play him and get him in the rotation quick. I think it'll happen eventually. I just don't know when. I thought KZ was really good on defense last night, though.
Yeah. And speaking of Nunn for all of his, pitfalls, he did have one highlight play tonight when he boomed on Bobby Portis' ass. Like, I got pretty excited for him. I was happy to see him have a little success.
For sure.
But then watching him long term, I was like, yeah, back to the bench you go.
You could see it on the bench too, though. When he made that dunk, the bench was all in for that. They were all up and excited. Like, they're there for their guys, but I don't know.
I made the same face Myers did when that dunk happened.
Yeah, and the best cheerleader spot in the NBA.
I think
nobody saw the face of the mask.
So here's my thing with these rotations. I'm pretty sure from the start of the season, it's just been Spoelstra trying to figure it out, right? It's not just him. Like, I do think sometimes he's just kind of trolling, right? Like, Gabe Vincent might have been a bit of a troll, honestly, because he's really not going to get too many minutes when it matters, right? Although, now that I say that, I go back to the Solomon Hill minutes. Nobody thought he was going to get anything, and he played in the finals, so that's something. But he's still trying to figure it out. I mean, this is a whole team, so, like, I don't blame him for what he's doing. He's trying to learn. The guys are trying to learn. And I think the thing that kind of bums me out the most is for as many guys as we brought back, we're not taking care of the ball well enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's still too many turnovers at times. And that's the one area where I'm like, you clean that one up, we've got a good ways to go. But if you keep being careless with the ball, this team's not going to win much.
Well, I mean, I think you're bringing up a good point because I wanted to get the turnovers eventually, but they had 21 turnovers.
My bad, I jumped the gun.
Nah, it's cool. Like, I'm glad it's a perfect
That's the main story.
It's a clean segue. I like them like that. But
22.
Yeah, 22 turnovers tonight to go with. We had 20 plus last night. Like, is there something that we can do to stop this downward trend, Alex?
To me, it's tough, right? Because especially if you're going to keep Tyler in that starting lineup, I'm not blaming it on him. Like, I don't think he's been the one with like the highest amount of turnovers or anything. I just think it's tough because like
all over Tyler for it. We're turning it over only because of Tyler. That's all he thinks.
I think Tyler plays a role into it, but I'll let Alex.
It's not all his fault.
Look,
though.
I think Tyler definitely plays a role into it, especially when Jimmy's out, because he's definitely being asked to do a lot more ball handling than he is when the team is healthy. And again, that's why I don't really have a problem when the team is healthy. I know, like, we weren't with the turnovers last year either. But to me, that's kind of something that comes along with having a motion offense like they do, where they're constantly passing the ball over and over and over and over. And I know that a lot of teams, we could say that they're doing ball movement or whatever, but the Heat are doing it in a way where every single possession that ball is being moved like 10 times. And so I think if you have a lot of guys who aren't natural passers, like, those turnovers are going to come eventually. I'm not trying to excuse it away. I think it is a problem. It was one of their problems last year too. I think my confidence comes from after what I saw from them in the playoffs. That confidence just went up in their ball handling. It wasn't as big of a problem as it was during the season. And to me, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I just when it comes down to it, when winning time comes in the playoffs, I think they'll be fine. I do think the turnovers are going to be a problem all season, though, with Tyler or without Tyler starting.
Yeah,
without Jimmy, by the way.
Yeah, and during the playoffs, our big issue was more rebounding, right? Was interior defense, rebounding. That was what we were all like. If we can fix that rebounding and interior defense and keep our guys healthy, this team has got it. And now we've kind of switched it, and it's like, well, now it's the carelessness with the ball. And maybe it's just the tinkering with the lineups, but
I think interior defense is still a bit of an issue for us.
I'm not saying we've solved it, but we've kind of moved on from that being the big issue to now our big thing is just the turnovers.
Yeah, right? I think that's in part because of Precious. His presence has been really helpful in terms of just being able to guard, because he did a really good job on Giannis tonight. Even though Giannis, did he get the triple-double? I think he had a near triple-double.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh, he got it. So, yeah, Giannis with the triple-double tonight. But I think we guarded him well. Like, and Precious just adds to the laundry list of people that we have to throw at him.
Right.
One person who didn't.
Honestly,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Royal.
Oh, no, because I was about to switch topics to Duncan, but go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say was I felt really good about that part, about like just adding guys to the list of guys that you could throw at Giannis. I feel pretty good about Precious. Obviously, not assigning hit for 48 minutes of Giannis, but he can really take on that matchup. Like, I think he did a really good job taking on Giannis one-on-one, even though obviously we know how the Heat are defending Giannis. Like, by the way, I was telling Ethan during the game, like, it's amazing how they really bust out an entire defensive game plan versus the Bucks in the regular season. And I feel like they never do that for other teams. And obviously it's because of Giannis. But you saw the same thing that they did in the playoffs again tonight, and just like they did last night, allowing a whole lot of threes because you want to make sure that Giannis doesn't get any driving lanes in the paint and gets no type of advantage. The thing to me is, how often is he going to demand the help? And Precious was making sure that help didn't have to come every single time. Like, he did a pretty good job checking him one-on-one. And I think, like, people want to talk about Crowder being a huge loss, which it is a loss for them because he was able to check Giannis in the playoffs. But to me, it wasn't a one-on-one thing. It was checking Giannis with help always there right behind them. Like, I don't think Crowder really stopped Giannis one-on-one. I don't like that narrative. And I think Iguodala can fill in doing that type of role when playoff time comes around. If you get the Bucks in the playoffs again, I feel like you can throw Precious into that role. You can throw Bam into that role. And look, I'm not throwing KZ there yet, but the couple possessions he had on Giannis last night were very, very positive. And again, these guys would not be – I don't think they will be looked at to be like guarding Giannis one-on-one whenever they do. Like, there's always going to be help behind them. And it's as far as having that one guy you could throw with the help behind them, they've got a few of them now. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. I see people in the comment section screaming about us not talking about KO's game. Which was really important because KO had a big game. He scored 15 points.
Yeah.
KO scored 15 points. Was doing a little bit of everything, driving to the rim, spacing the floor with his shot. Mike, what did you see from KO tonight?
I mean, KO did what we all want him to do when he plays, right? Like he was fairly aggressive with his shots, even though they weren't all falling. I mean, he was 3 for 7 from the 3-point line, which is good to see. He had some rebounds, which we can all admit Kelly usually doesn't grab too many rebounds because he's just not playing super strong inside. But he played the game tonight that we've all wanted to see him do consistently. And we've seen him do this before. He did this a couple times in the playoffs too, right? So I am happy to see it with KO, and I hope he keeps doing this moving forward. I'm just a little bit burned with the fact that we've seen him do it before, and then he kind of disappears for a few games, whether that's him not getting any minutes at all, or when he does get minutes, nothing's falling. He's not grabbing rebounds. And so at that point, you're kind of like, what are we doing here? So I am happy to see it with Kelly O, but kind of the same way we look at Myers, where I think we look at Myers a certain way because he just signed the contract. Myers can have a game like this. He just hasn't had one in a while, right? So I'm not going to overreact to the one game where I think, yes, he did play well. But if it's not happening consistently, to me, it's really not worth that much.
I think Kelly kind of brings more to the table offensively than Myers does.
Oh yeah, offensively for sure.
And at this point, it kind of feels like he's jumped both Mo and Myers in the lineup, right?
At this point, I'm hoping Game Vincent has jumped Mo Harkless in the lineup. Listen, somebody tweeted out the picture of the 5 Reasons team playing basketball at the arena. Any one of those guys I'll put on the floor before Mo Harkless. Okay, so let's.
But yeah, so I wanted to kind of get the bold take. I kind of wanted to get to Duncan because again tonight, like he struggled to get his shot off, to get any kind of clean looks, and I do believe that's in part because it was a concerted effort by Milwaukee to keep him contained. But I mean, is that going to be a problem for us if we see them later on, Alex?
It's interesting because to me, like we already saw that in the playoffs. I think every single team did their best of really trying to bother Duncan. Like, and by the way, that he faced 4 great defensive teams in the playoffs, and all of them, were throwing some of their best perimeter defenders on Duncan throughout different, points. And I think he did a pretty good job. But obviously, his game went down a little bit. He wasn't shooting on fire the same way he was during the season. But I just think, again, that's a result of the defense. And I think teams figured out from the beginning of last season to the end and throughout the bubble that is the Heat's most efficient offense by far, and that they're going to try to go to it all the time. And I think that's obvious. Any team that scouts the Heat, are going to scout the Bam Duncan Robinson handoff. And tonight, I think that was obviously something that, they expect them to rely on with Jimmy out. I think, when Jimmy is in, the balance there is a lot better. And I think that's why it becomes a lot more dangerous because you have to pick your poison. And with Jimmy out there wasn't as much poison because Tyler can't really do his thing on the ball, at least not every single possession. You know what I'm saying? Tyler has to be coming off a screen a lot or kind of playing against the bent defense. I don't think Tyler is that guy who can initiate at a star level like that.
So, Mike, I wanted to talk a little bit about that Bam Duncan handoff that Alex alluded to. It's kind of like a staple in our offense, and teams begin to key on it, and yet you still don't see Bam being as aggressive as you would like to see him in some games. Tonight, he was because he's getting that jumper, he's getting those driving lanes, and then at one point he even showed y'all a little of that.
Little shake.
Why
did he do it on Giannis and not Brook Lopez? Like Brook Lopez has cement feet.
Yes, and so that's some of the stuff that frustrates fans. So, Mike, what was it like to actually see Bam be aggressive in some of those situations?
It was great. It was great. We wanted to see it, right? Last game, it didn't happen almost at all. Then Twitter went nuts like we talked about earlier, and everybody started slandering some stupidity on the internet. We know he can do it. It's just a matter of him being this aggressive more often, right? And I think he's actually kind of taking a lot of that from Jimmy, right? Where we see Jimmy is aggressive offensively at select times. And I think he's kind of feeding off of that where it's, I'm going to feed my guys. I'm going to make sure the rest of the team gets into the game before I worry about myself. And it isn't until Bam is like, you know what? No, I'm going to take this into my own hands and win this, that he plays that aggressive. So I think it's just a matter of him getting out of his own head and just saying, I'm going to look for my shot. And if it's not falling or they're covering it more, then I'll look for the other guys. But at the end of the day, he has to be our first option. He is the number one guy on this team offensively, right? Whether it's running the screens off of him and doing the handoffs or him going to the basket on bigs that cannot guard him, he needs to realize he's the number one option on this offense, and he needs to run with it.
But I think you alluded to it as the number one scoring option.
Yeah,
he tried to prove everybody wrong tonight. Said he could do it whenever he wants to. He clearly looks at himself as like the connector in the offense, not the finisher.
Yeah, he looks at himself as kind of like the fill in the blanks guy. It's like whatever's needed at the time, then I can do that tonight. And that leads to some form of inconsistency. But I think Ethan mentioned it on the 5 Reasons Sports Hour, where he was saying that Bam is viewed now as more than just a player. He's viewed as that contract that he signed. So I think part of that is him growing to understand the perception of what his job is versus the reality of what it is, and just trying to find that balance of when to attack and when not to. So we got our shit kicked in last night. And then
I didn't watch that, thankfully, so I'm golden.
Yeah, so we that happened last night, and then we win tonight. The way I see it, I figure that the Heat are somewhere in the middle of those two performances. I don't completely ignore last night because some of those things actually carried over today, like the turnovers. But I do see that when the team runs more fluidly, then somebody saying blow the team up. When the offense runs more fluidly, then we get back to the point where we can be competitive. I think all of that started on the defense. What was the primary difference to you guys from last night to tonight?
Alex, go ahead.
I thought it was a great effort from them on D. Like last night was the complete opposite. I thought that was part of it too. Like it was their turnovers, but you don't lose by almost 50 with just one problem. It was the turnovers. It was the horrific defensive effort, and they had that same game plan last night. It wasn't a game plan thing. I really just think it was an execution thing because they were allowing threes just as much tonight as they were last night. It was regression of the mean in the sense that Holiday and Middleton weren't hitting every three. You didn't see Thanasis Antetokounmpo hitting multiple threes. Drew Holiday hitting step backs. Bobby Portis hitting threes. The whole team just jumping in there and getting on fire. Like I didn't think that was going to keep happening. That's the gamble that they take though when they play that game plan. And I think like some nights they're going to hit a lot more than other nights. And I think the gamble works out though, because you see like Giannis had 9 last night. I don't remember what he finished with tonight. He still ends up with a pretty good stat line, but like to me, that's the game plan that works versus the Bucks. And I really love what they did tonight as far as the defensive execution. I love what I saw from Avery Bradley. I love what I saw from Andre Iguodala on defense, because Iguodala still doesn't give you anything on offense other than like putting the ball down for a dribble or two and then passing it to the next open guy, which by the way, Mo Harkless hasn't done once, so at least it gives you that. I feel bad like trashing Mo Harkless like this, man, but he just really has not even like looked like a rotation player, nevertheless a starter. But to me, like the defensive effort, like you take out Myers, you take out Nunn, and it just looks a lot better.
Yeah, so I want to take two things about what Alex said and form a question for you, Mike. We're talking about inserting Andre Iguodala and Avery Bradley into the starting lineup, and coincidentally, then we have better defensive games in terms of guarding Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. So does this mean that we should continue to put defense in front of offense? Because of course that's what we say we do, but a lot of times when we do these emergency starters, it seems like we're trying to add more playmakers or somebody who can shoot, as opposed to just going with the best defensive guys out there.
Right. I mean, I think starting a defensive guy works. I know there's somebody in the network, I don't remember who exactly is calling for it, but I think if you looked at tonight's lineup, sub Jimmy in for Iguodala and leave Avery Bradley starting, I think you've got a really solid starting five there. Right now, I'm not going to go on some big thing and say, oh, that's a championship starting five. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. That we have yet to see that, right? But I think throwing Avery Bradley into that starting lineup helps out so much. His best game, other than this one with the Heat, was very much the game against the Pelicans, right? Where he was all over the floor. In that game, he took some chances guarding Zion too. I think he was on him a couple rotations where they just had to switch. And I look back on the Magic game, right? I had the unfortunate luck of being there. That sucked. But if Avery Bradley had played in that game, I'm almost sure we win, right? So you've got to start prioritizing some defensive guys. And Avery Bradley, in my opinion, is the number one guy off the bench to help that.
Mike, consider yourself lucky. Alex was at the game yesterday, so that had to be probably the worst game.
That was the longest game ever.
Oh my. Okay, well, I was at the Hurricanes game last night, so I mean that wasn't too great either.
Okay, so we're having a wee swinging contest in here about who had the shittiest experience.
Ethan always wins. Ethan always wins, no matter what.
Okay.
So you were at the bar last night while we were at the game, so I disagree.
Yeah. So staying on Avery Bradley a little bit. Not only did he give us defense tonight, but he gave us a little bit of offense too. Showed us some of the things they could. In a lot of ways, he kind of gave us what Jay gave us in terms of just off the ball IQ. Like I see you shaking your head, Alex. So you kind of know what I'm talking about. And it's those like cuts, those timely cuts to the rim, like just knowing where to be. He doesn't mess up the spacing, even though he's not the best shooter. Talk about something of how Avery Bradley helps us on offense as opposed to just his defense.
Well, look, I think you nailed it because to me, Avery Bradley is the Jay Crowder replacement, and not in the traditional way. He's not a 4, obviously, but to me, he's Jay Crowder replacement in the sense that they obviously needed somebody who can guard guards and multiple different types of guards in different ways. And I think Avery Bradley fits that perfectly on defense. We already talked about his defense here, but the offense stuff, he's got a little bit to his game. Like he can't really handle and stuff, but he can hit those open shots, man. And he knows how to, keep moving and keep running around the floor. Like he fits perfectly into motion stuff. Like you saw tonight, like he already has a little bit of connection with Bam. I saw maybe it was just tonight, but he had that one little play where Bam gave him the handoff in the corner. He had that other play where Bam fed him the bounce pass as he was cutting to the rim. I just think Bradley knows how to function in this offense, and I don't think he's not as negative as Andre is, for example, because I think he at least wants to shoot it, and I think he's a better shooter than Iguodala, even if he isn't a shooter. I really love what Bradley brings to this team. I think he's a rotation guy in the playoffs, and he's going to be one of those like 9 guys or whatever that I think Spo ends up trusting.
Well, and Avery Bradley is such a great key too with like the way Brooklyn is formed, right? Like Kyrie Irving is going to be a problem.
I literally said the same thing to Ethan today. I said he's going to look great guarding Kyrie.
Yeah, like he's not going to shut down Kyrie because no one does that, but he's going to do a lot better job on him than anyone else we have on the team, except for maybe Jimmy and Bam.
Exactly,
and they should really only be guarding him on switches. Yeah. So Bradley's going to be such a great addition. That was so timely. Like that was just Pat Riley working some magic, and it's so great.
We talked about point of attack defenders all off season, and who to look at. We never even mentioned Avery Bradley. I didn't think the Lakers were going to give him up, but we'll take him.
Thanks, LeBron.
Total Army asks, what was the starting 5 tonight? They started Avery Bradley, Andre Iguodala, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson, and Bam tonight. I'm just going through some of the comments to see. Somebody said Ethan is at IHOP.
Nah, I can hear Ethan through Alex's mic.
Oh yeah, I should probably be muted.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So
as a producer, I should probably know to do that. So,
I think it was interesting when you guys were talking about Avery Bradley guarding other guards. I think the more interesting thing was I only thought that he could guard like smaller guards. I see him take a few like possessions on Middleton and Middleton. Big time. I see him like. So talk about not only his ability to guard guards, but talk about his ability to guard up, Mike. Like
they're gonna. So I mean, I had mentioned earlier he kind of did that a little bit in the Pelicans game, right? Where he kind of guarded up. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna say Avery Bradley's here. You got a big guy on their other best big offensive player, right? So they're gonna try to run a pick and they're gonna try to switch them off. And Bradley can hold his own. Bradley's not gonna hold his own deep in the post against a Giannis or a Zion. But if they're standing outside, if they weren't smart enough to get in there, he's going to be right up in their grill, and they're going to have a hard time getting past him because he can poke the ball free. Or he can just stand there and take a foul if they try to get too aggressive. Like Bradley's going to be such a great fit because unlike when you have Goran or Tyler or Duncan on a switch and you're just absolutely terrified if they have to guard up, you see Bradley and you're like, he can handle it. At worst, they're going to take a contested shot. So that's the versatility he brings, and that's what Alex is talking about. He's a Jay Crowder replacement, right? It's that ability to guard up and guard multiple positions and not be afraid of the moment, not be afraid of the matchup. And so, yeah, he doesn't bring that traditional like hard bumper inside, but I think Avery Bradley is going to be a great fit with this Heat team for a couple years.
So how many more opportunities are we giving Kendrick Nunn before we trade his ass?
I mean, to me, still, like, I'm saying this since last year, he only looks like a positive player on this team when he's playing alongside Jimmy, Bam, and Duncan. I feel the same way about Myers. And I even threw Mo Harkless into that group last night on the podcast. But the difference is Mo Harkless hasn't been a positive player yet with the team. Whereas Nunn and Leonard, now I feel kind of bad for that because Nunn and Leonard they had a positive starting lineup all year with that lineup last season. They won a lot of games with that starting lineup last season.
They did.
Mo Harkless
guys that
hasn't
we
even
don't
giving
want
him
on the
that. So
floor.
maybe I was being too hard on them for
Like,
including him in that group.
They were giving us so much minutes, and now people are yelling if Nunn or Myers see the floor, right? They get livid. They were our starters on the team that started off so hot that we were all like, whoa, this is a championship team after about 20 games because they started playing so well. Like, everybody's got to kind of calm down. And actually, I think Alex should keep going with his Mo slander, because then maybe we can give Mo some, like, board material. He can kind of step it up a little bit. He has a picture of Alex, and after Mo has like a triple double, he calls him out specifically. He's like, the Alex Toledo guy did that for you.
I welcome it.
I'm telling you, if he needs somebody to slander his ass, call the boy. I got plenty in the chamber for his bitch ass. If he keep on playing like this, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep myself composed. I went 30 minutes, guys. I was doing good.
Dear Miami Heat, if you're watching, I'm not with them. I'm not.
So I'm gonna sub out real quick before you go on to the next topic. Herro just came on the media availability, and there's gonna be a couple other players. So I'm gonna sub out for a few minutes.
All right, man. Appreciate it. We're probably done by the time you're trying to jump back in. All right. So Mike, I wanted to get to a couple more things before we wrap this up. Hey, Manny. So considering how well Avery Bradley played tonight, does he start moving forward? Like is that his spot now?
It has to be, right? And then also we saw Gabe Vincent, the spark he gave him off the bench. Listen, nothing against Mo Harkless, man, but I told this to Mike. The only way Mo gets in is if either the Heat are winning big or they're losing big. That's it. That's it. No Mo. Like a girl Tip said, no more. No. Was it no more?
No more.
No more. That's it.
She called that after game one too. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
game one. She's like, that's it. I'm done.
He has no size. He can't box out anybody. By the way, let me just tell you, man. Sometimes, like tonight, right? There were a couple of times where I thought Kelly Olynyk should have been able to box out better, and he just is not in position.
Isn't that our fault?
The kid from Villanova is jumping over his head and putting putbacks.
But isn't that our fault for expecting Olynyk to like? That's our fault. That's on us. Olynyk doesn't box out. If we're sitting here being like, "Come on, Olynyk box out," that's not him.
The guy's a couple feet shorter than you. You can at least
it's not him.
Olynyk is there to be a versatile 7-footer.
Mm-hmm. But then he hits a crucial three right in the fourth, and you go. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he made a lot of good plays tonight, and I was really proud to see him.
How about Precious down the stretch, man? The effort, getting in there, mixing it up with Giannis and Brook Lopez, man. This is something that I don't think Pat Riley, not saying that he was ever going to do it, but for him to be able to trust this player in this particular – listen, this game to me could be a season changer. Because I think it's the most difficult game that Coach Spo has. Listen, he only had one night, basically. Okay, you're coming off the blowout, okay, and then you have to do a quick turnaround the very next day. I highly doubt he slept.
I think that ass kicking was enough motivation for
But at the same time, there could be motivation, but you also gonna have you have to have the right mindset to do it the way that you feel like it's going to pan out the very next day. Not all the coaches have that capability of doing it.
Yeah.
That's what makes Spo so good at it. There's no hell that I would have known that Iggy would have started in the starting lineup today. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I thought you bet on Gabe Vincent getting 15 mints in the game. Did you not?
No, absolutely not. And Bam, Jesus, you need to do more of that crossover move, man, on the people, bro.
Yeah, I was with that. Yo, another funny thing tonight was Brook Lopez imitating Bam flopping at the free throw line.
It's funny he's the one imitating a flop, though.
I mean, but it was a flop, though. Let's just be honest.
But it's funny Brook Lopez imitating.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an extra guest. I want to introduce you to the main man of the Clutch Corner.
My boy.
Someone has him muted.
He's muted. Because you know what he's coming in here to say.
Look, I'm just here.
All right, we're good.
I am just here to say that Mars Leonard is being paid $9 million to make faces on the bench and laugh and cheer.
Yo,
$9 million.
Not that $9 million.
His wife is cashing it in, bro. His wife is cashing it in.
Yeah, she's turning it into level protein bars.
Yeah. And buying
do you
extra
think-
dogs over the holidays.
Mickey Harrison feels watching the Heat play and watching Myers Leonard steal money from his pocket.
Literally, somebody pulled up that comment a second ago.
Yo,
They're like, "How does
feels-
Mickey feel?"
He feels
was
much
me.
better than he felt yesterday watching him play for them $9 million. Like, that shit was horrific. Clutch, what was the difference tonight? What was the difference tonight?
Look, I just wanted to come in here and say that about Myers. That's all.
Just the slander. That's all he
That's all I
wanted.
had to say.
And that you would still trade everybody for Harden.
They're all gone. Yeah. They're all
Hey,
gone.
I'll give you this. Way to stay consistent because Heat Twitter tonight is over. Harden. Now that we've won, Heat Twitter's like, "Oh, we're good. We don't need anybody." I don't agree with them. I'm just saying what they're gonna do.
I am salivating over a Harden Bradley backcourt right now.
Okay, I will ask you this: does a performance like the last couple of nights that we've seen from some of these key trade pieces help in the trade?
I'm not like who that wouldn't be a part of the trade. Like, okay, so Goran, Jimmy, Bam, Avery Bradley, those guys wouldn't be a part of the trade, and those guys, sans Jimmy, were huge tonight, right?
Right.
Okay, so like, what are we missing out on?
Well, no, I'm not. You're right. I'm not saying missing out. No, what I'm saying is, because Tyler's played a pretty decent set of games, right? The last two.
Sure.
You asking, does that hurt his trade value? Like,
So is James.
So that's what I'm saying, right? Like, is it pulling, or is it just everybody staying put right now? Is it just like we're all still waiting? Like, performances aren't going to change anything. That's what I'm asking. I don't actually know.
I think if they keep winning, it sort of helps them in their leverage that they wouldn't have to send everybody in a trade.
Got it.
But if they lose and Tyler plays well, that changes things.
Got it. Hey,
Tyler has another 4 turnovers again tonight, man. I mean,
but again, what do you?
But even still, though, like I'm telling you, like that's one of the main things that we were talking about with the Harden shit. Like it was kind of like we turned the ball over too much, and Harden instantly fixes that problem because of course he will have the ball.
You know what? I don't want to turn this into a Harden thing just because I showed up, but
bro, you know how
but hey, listen, Adam, I think you make a great point. The Heat keep winning. Yes, it makes it feel better, right? But is it the ending that we think it's going to be if it stays like this? No.
I don't think
we're not trying to make the finals. We're trying to win it. Right?
And I don't think this team is done. I think they're still going to evolve the way they play, and I think that the team on the trade market they're not done. I think they need to add a 4, a 2-way 4, a Jay Crowder type of guy. My favorite's Nemanja Bjelica because he's not getting used by Sacramento right now. He's not 2-way, but he provides a lot of the same that Danilo Gallinari would have provided. Right. And I think he would be a perfect addition. So I think they're not done in terms of trading and completing this roster.
Well, and I think I was going to say
when we talk about Harden.
Yeah,
of course we're talking about Harden. As soon as
once Clutch came on, it was over.
That's all anybody wants to talk about.
I want to talk about Myers.
No. For like a second, I thought he wanted to talk about Zach LaVine because now I want.
Don't start that. He always wants to talk about Zach LaVine, bro.
All right.
He sucks on defense, but he can be good on offense.
I just wanted to say about Myers. I wanted to say that $9 million was well spent. I don't care if he's getting traded or not. He's the greatest and highest paid cheerleader in sports history.
That's bad.
And that was Clutch Corner.
I will say this about this season, though, right? Like, as weird as the season's going to be, the back-to-backs that the Heat have, especially with a lot of these big teams, right? Because we have back-to-backs against the Bucks. We have back-to-backs against Brooklyn. I think we have back-to-backs against the 76ers. And whether it's back-to-back nights or one after the other, right, with a day or two in between, it really helps you see where this team is in a playoff perspective because it is, in its own way, a mini playoff, right? It's you play them one night and you immediately adjust for the next game because that is your next opponent, right? It's not like the regular season where tonight we'll play the 76ers and then the Magic and then the Hawks and then someone else and then maybe the Sixers again. You have to see what they have and then adjust to it. So I think probably by midseason, we're going to have a really good idea in terms of what this team is going to need because it's so playoff-like.
I think Grant made a good point in the pregame where he said we should wait to evaluate this team until after 20 games. 20 to 25 games is about it's close to 1/3 of the season, but that'll be a time where we can really see what we have. By then, we should have some lineups that are more solidified. People should have more defined roles and things like that.
And also, Royal, I'm also waiting for the 2.5 week mark to get here so I can look at none and ask Ricky again if he still feels that we need to wait. No, I mean, listen. I'm going to take Ricky's advice, and I'm going to sit here every single Heat game until 2.5 weeks have passed, and I'm going to ask him the same question when he comes on the show. Is it about time?
I think Ricky is the one who's most down the middle in terms of being level-headed. It's his job to be the moral center of the show.
It's just it's the voice. It comes out through the voice.
Yeah, it's so soothing.
It sounds like peace. He speaks like an avatar, right? Like
he's supposed to calm down the fan base. I'm supposed to take their ass on this roller coaster.
Exactly.
That's what my job is. But as far as
Ricky is that mean substitute teacher.
Yeah.
All right, class. I might not be your official teacher, but today you're gonna learn.
He's like a calm down sense, like he's like a calm down version of like our version of Ethan, right? Like he comes on, tries to speak on a different side of things. Where does he stand on the Harden stuff, by the way? I don't actually know.
Oh, he's fed into the Ethan propaganda wholeheartedly.
Hey, I used to be too, though. And
then, don't worry, we're gonna turn his ass to the dark side too, Michael.
Wait.
Yes, you wait. Just me and Quest working on him. And I like to make sure that I have Ramlakan said this, Jonathan Ramlakan, he said it on the show the other day, and I want to say it too. Like, I am not a James Harden fan. I never have been. Like, I don't like the way he plays. I just understand what impact he could have on his team.
It's gonna. We all saw it when I remember when we had LeBron. I spent so many Heat games yelling at the TV. No. Oh, he made it. Right? Do you not? Am I the only one that remembers that? How many times did he him dribbling at the 3-point line? And I'm like, he's gonna pull up, and I'm not gonna like it, and I'm not gonna like it.
My phrase during the Big Three era was "give the damn ball to Wade." Like that's what I yelled at the TV all the time.
Yeah,
give the damn ball to Wade, and that's no matter if LeBron. Dude,
like how many shots did we take up that I was like, that was such a stupid shot, and then it went in, and I'm like, oh.
And then you look at the statistics. You really look at the statistics and realize that you're watching probably the greatest player of the past 2 generations. Completely obliterate the NBA at its peak, and we're out here complaining about him giving the ball away.
Yeah,
and I do it all over again too.
Absolutely.
But, I'm done for the night. I don't know if you guys had any more thoughts that you wanted to add in. Like one more time. Exactly. We'll ban his ass too.
Hey, I gotta tell Adam, he converted me. I was staunch against it, and then he mentioned the what was it? The Bam's recruiting, right? Because that was my worry, was those gap years of Bam prime after everybody's gotten old. And then he's like, but Bam could recruit people like a Fox or a Beal, just anybody else. I'm like, damn, that's true. Let's do it.
Exactly.
I joined. Sorry, Ethan.
Very convincing on that. So let's go around. Quick final thoughts. Any thoughts on tonight's game or the next game that you want to go before we close out, Mike?
Who do we play next? I don't even know who we play next.
Listen, we play Dallas next.
On Friday. That's on New Year's Day.
Yeah, on Friday. So let's carry the momentum. Let's see if we can sneak out a win in Dallas. We know it's never easy with or without fans because the road ahead, man, I tell you, it's like a gauntlet, right? So it's you are now turning into a baseball team when you go for a weekend series, right? You want to go 2 for the 1. Well, now you want to at least split, especially if it's on the road. But these home games back to back, though, he had to do much better in trying to see if they can win most of those because, man, this schedule. Listen, everybody has the same schedule, right? But the Heat cannot be in a position to be chasing anybody, right? Especially at this point when Jimmy's not 100% healthy. So listen, Bam, keep doing what you're doing. Need more Gabe Vincent, Myers Leonard, collect checks. Don't play basketball. I'm fine with that. And hey, everybody that subscribed to our YouTube page on 5 Reasons, we thank you very much.
Yes, 10K.
We got the 10K
right before New Year's. Right? Yeah, right before New Year's. Jesus, 2020 has me all messed up already. Yeah, man. So thank you guys for that. If you still haven't done it, what are you waiting for? We had Heat tonight. We had a Dolphin hour and a half show with plenty of stuff. I mean, come on, dude. Listen, who needs AM radio in South Florida?
Who needs stuff like what is it? What's his name? Talking about Dolphins drafting a quarterback 3rd overall. People slandering Bam on ESPN.
Oh, that guy still has a job? Oh,
yeah, he does, dude.
He's always gonna have one. Just being honest with you, Mike. Anything from tonight or anything about Dallas?
I mean, just this team has more like on the defensive side than we thought, even without Jimmy. Right? Like it's very easy to think that without Jimmy, this becomes a completely offensive team. Just give up on the defensive side, but Avery Bradley brings a lot more to the table than we all thought. He needs a lot more minutes, and I'm happy to see he's getting more minutes. Iggy's getting on the floor. Mo's not seeing the floor. Like, just stay, bro. I think Mo needs to learn from Myers, right? Some of that cheering off the bench, because you might be doing a lot more of that the rest of the season, bro. And I love Myers, I do, but learn from there. Stay there. Just don't come off.
So, by the way, just one more quick thing, Roy, before you close it. Look at the East standings right now. You cannot take that serious, man. like you look at that right now, and you see
Magic aren't the best team in the NBA.
The Orlando Magic are the last undefeated team in the league.
So listen, this is my thing on that. Yes, I do understand that we can take these early season standings with a grain of salt, but I do want us to be careful about potentially getting comfortable with this same narrative, because we have a tough schedule at the beginning and we don't want to spend all season clawing our way back. I do want to acknowledge 2 comments. Dean Miller said that Dallas is losing by 22 points to Charlotte right now, so Dallas is going to be coming for a win. That could be true, considering that Milwaukee was coming off a 30-point loss to New York before they came and trashed us. And then Thanks Man 1138 said Ethan invented AM radio.
I thought Ethan invented radio, period. I didn't.
Listen, we'll turn this into a roast session the next time. This is 2 nights in a row. I don't like back-to-backs. So I'm going to close out. Thank you for everybody who subscribed. Make sure you subscribe these videos. Continue to follow us. We're going to have more content for you every day. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
So for Manny and Michael, you guys have a great
10K, baby, 10K.